Kim Jong-un, the very name can send a chill down the spine. The leader who is known best for his brutality has been at the helm of North Korea for a while. The more you'll be relieved about not being a North Korean citizen. Escape isn't an option. That too, for a good reason. Welcome back to yet another exciting video, folks. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so that you stay updated with our new uploads. Here are some interesting facts about North Korea. Let's move on to the video. North Korea is so different from the others. The citizens are supposed to follow bizarre laws without question. One of the laws among them is one cannot escape the country. It is bound to be a failure, and what follows might shock you. Execution. It is the world's most hardcore totalitarian regime where loyalty is expected. If anyone in the community tries to intrude, then they'll be sent to excruciating campaigns for life. What they have to face there isn't that pretty, ranging from starving to death, literal chattel labor, live medical experiments, constant torture, and random execution by the regime on what the guards feel like doing to you. One is bound to go astray there. There is no such thing as human rights in North Korea. Over the past several years, many died while trying to escape from this horror. Unfortunately, it didn't end well. They didn't even have an easy death. Blood-freezing escape stories are widespread. With all these happening, no one would even dare to escape the country. Despite having it hard, the citizens are expected and forced to remain loyal, which might sound ridiculous to you all. It's not every day you lose your family or bloodline in one fell swoop. Another factor that scares the citizens is, apart from inducing brutality, they will have to suffer from the pain of losing their family members. An unaccounted number of people still rot in the excruciating jails of North Korea. What's frightening is, this isn't any sort of cooked-up nightmare saga. It's happening at the very moment. If you somehow ended up here, you should probably give up hope, and there's no loophole whatsoever. The DMZ, or Demilitarization Zone, between North and South Korea is intensively protected with high-voltage fences, and the minefield doesn't make it any easier, unless you want to turn into a roasted chicken. In a nutshell, escaping the country isn't a cakewalk. On the other hand, we can't generalize Korea to be a terrible place. South isn't synonymous with the North. The ideologies, development, facilities, and opportunities are vast in the South. Look how a small division led to all the chaos one can ever imagine. When the country was divided, some even lost their family members. They have yearned to at least take one last glance at them, but it's no way out. South Korea claims the legal authority of the entire Korean peninsula, and they officially consider all 26 million Koreans as one. Regardless of everything, a journey to the north would be the most difficult journey a human being can make in this 21st century, even though you might feel it is at the stretch of your arm from the south. Manually walking along the southern border is almost impossible since it has heavy security. The borders are militarized. Big walls are built along the boundary. The boundary is covered by electric razor wires and landmines, and is guarded by millions of North soldiers with live cartridges who have accurate orders to shoot at sight if anyone tackles bravely, or fools the soldiers and tries to cross the barriers. Consider taking a flight to the north. Is that a good idea though? But that would be nothing more than a reckless decision. The chances for you to succeed are really low. In fact, many tried to do so and had to taste the bitter taste of failure. In 2017, a North Korean man attempted to cross the boundary rashly. He drove the car at his maximum speed. In fact, he succeeded in doing that, but the triumph didn't last long. He was shortly shot by the North Korean regime about 5 times and bled profusely. However, South Korean soldiers rescued him and gave him citizenship. He's living happily ever after in Seoul. Have y'all heard about Yeonmi Park? Yeonmi is a North Korean defector and activist. Her family fled from North Korea to China in 2007 and settled in South Korea in 2009. Her father was sent to a labor camp for smuggling. They fled to China, where Park and her mother fell into the hands of human traffickers, and she was sold into slavery before escaping to Mongolia. Park and her family escaped North Korea by crossing the border into Changbai Korean Autonomous County, China. With the aid of human traffickers, Park and her mother crossed the frozen Yalu River and 3 mountains into China. Park's father was sick and stayed behind in North Korea. After crossing the border, Park and her mother headed for Jilin province. They tried to find Park's sister, Yeonmi, asking the traffickers about her whereabouts. Park and her mother assumed that Yeonmi had died. In October 2007, Park sent word to her father and arranged to smuggle him into China. There, he was diagnosed with inoperable colon cancer. While the family was living in secret, in January 2008, her father died. The family was unable to formally mourn him, fearing that they would be discovered by Chinese authorities, and buried his dead body remains in the ground of a nearby mountain. Park's mother said that they had paid 2 people to carry Park's father's cremation. Park and her mother found a Christian shelter headed by Chinese and South Korean missionaries in Qingdao. Due to the city's overwhelming Korean population, they were able to distract the attention of authorities. With the help of the missionaries, they took a chance to escape to South Korea via Mongolia. The southern part of Korea is completely impervious to outbreak, while the eastern and western sides are covered in ocean. Buying a boat and rowing across the boundary is impossible since most North Koreans are poor. Even if they had money to own a boat, there is no other way to pursue it. Here is one of the interesting, remarkable escape stories of an official in the North Korean ministry. Let's watch it. In 2016, a man named Seo Yoon-lee, who was a high-ranking official of North Korea's Ministry of State Security, decided to flee with a friend using an extreme idea. They brought a motorbike tire, an air pump, and some food. They reached the location behind the DMZ once the sun set. Shortly, they started swimming desperately to the safe zone. Although they were not caught in the act, we can't call it an easy attempt. The air pump stopped working. They were then forced to rely on their bags, which helped them to float. They had to then swim without a break for another 4 hours. After spotting a boat getting close to them, they swam toward a small island. They were drenched completely. It was a cold autumn and didn't have any extra clothes to change into. Then they found garbage and used it to insulate themselves and got some rest within. When the sun came up, they searched a few wooden pallets and tied them together into a barge with the help of styrofoam and other waste material, and then they swept back out to sea using their hands. By this point, they realized that they had covered more distance and passed the North Korean barriers, while the South Korean ship spotted these foreigners and came to rescue them immediately, which made it all one big successful saga. Not only is South Korea an option, but there are also 3 more countries surrounding North Korea. Among them, Japan is one of the best options. If you have to move out from North Korea, then you have to cross the Sea of Japan, either by seeking the help of small boats or by any other means. In the case of tiny boats, you have to be prepared to face dangerous typhoons, and this is one of the best scenarios because you probably have to just get a boat. The northern part of Japan is easier to invade than the southern part, in the northern part where they share their boundaries with China and Russia. It's much easier to get into Russia since the Tumen River is only 17 kilometers wide, but there's a Russian policy to send the North Korean illegal invaders back to North Korea. So comparatively, China is another option. The defectors usually flee to a third country due to China being a relatively close ally of North Korea. China is one of the most influential of the few economic partners of North Korea, while the country has been under UN sanctions for years. It is also the largest and has been a continuous source of the country. China refuses to grant North Korean defectors refugee status and considers them illegal economic migrants. If the defectors are caught in China, they're sent back to North Korea, where they often face harsh interrogations and years of punishment or even death in political prison camps. These are some facts that dive into the whole history of the 21st century conflict between North Korea and South Korea. It's almost impossible to make it out of the north, and the risk factor increases every minute. The brutal tortures and high security around the border and terrain add fire to the situation. If you liked the video, hit the like button and turn on the post notifications. We'll be back with more interesting content in the next video.